Are you someone who desires to actually make money in real estate? And when you hear the word real estate, you think of wealth building, you think of ownership, you think of even millionaire status. I read something actually the other day that says 80% of millionaires were made millionaires because of real estate. Now, by the end of this video, I actually want to share with you how you can actually make money in real estate with a business model called real estate wholesaling. And I actually shot this video unedited for you because I want you to really see the raw and uncut version. But more importantly, I want to speak to you that's watching this video because we're human. We're human in the aspect of, man, we want more. We want freedom. We want time freedom. We want financial freedom. We want it all, right? But sometimes we actually get trapped in 9 to 5s, in the old mindset, in poverty mindset. And I'm not only speaking to you about how to build a business, but I'm speaking to you and calling you up, not out, so you can actually be a better individual by building this business, okay? So my name is Lacedrick Brantley. I've been doing this for a really long time, since 2019, and I actually started this business out part-time and then turned this business into a full-time business, y'all. And when I tell you, this is one of the best ways to break into real estate and then also build a profitable business. And you can even do this part-time if you're doing, if you have a 9 to 5. All right. So, when it comes down to this business, y'all, I actually want to tell you something very, very important that I think you should understand. The biggest mistake that I see people make, especially wholesalers, make is they get into this business, they make a couple of calls, they do it for the money, and they don't do it because of their reasons. And I just want to let you know that reasons come before results. So if your reason for doing this is just solely because of money, I want you to really sit and think about why you do things, okay? As I shared with you earlier, this is about showing you a higher level of yourself because this requires work, right? But it's easy to do so if you really just sit here and be intentional. So I actually was watching this movie earlier. It's called Creed 2. And this is where, Apollo Creed son fought basically his person who murdered his dad because they were boxing. Now, I didn't mean to get dark right there, but I just want to let you know. He was about to fight his son, and Rocky essentially asked him, hey, why are you fighting? What is your reason? And he could not answer it. And I just want to let you know that the reason why he lost the fight is not because he wasn't capable. It was simply because his reason was not deep enough and he did not know why. And when times got hard and when the fight got hard, it actually became very hard for him to sustain because he did not know his reason. So I want to tell you this. Again, reasons come before results. And if your reason is strong enough to do something, you will always remember the reason why you do something. And I know, of course, over time that actually changes. So analyze why you do things, y'all, so you can act when something happens like life or something, challenging comes along the way. You're just not giving up because you don't have a strong enough reason. All right. That was a lot. All right, great. So let's hop into it. There are 4 aspects to real estate wholesaling that I want to talk to you about here today and how I built this business. And I just want to actually tell you this before we hop into it, y'all. When it comes down to real estate wholesaling, if you don't know what it is, I just want you to think of it like this, right? When you go and buy a car, you essentially have the car at the dealership. You have the guy that comes outside and greets you, and then you have the person who they have to answer to, which is the manager, right? So we are in the middle as a wholesaler, and we don't answer to anybody, but how we make our money is with the buyer. So we then have the seller, we have yourself, and we have the buyer. If you notice when you purchase a car, the car salesman who is actually talking to you, they never live negotiate with you. They actually go back to their manager, and they're the middleman, and they say, hey, my manager said this, my manager said that. It's essentially the same thing. You're being a middleman, and essentially the seller that wants to sell, you're getting them at a price that's cheap, so $100,000. You have the contract here, and you're going to go sell it to the buyer who fix and flips or buy and holds, and you're going to sell it to them for $120,000 being a middleman. You probably think that being a middleman is bad, but one of the things I want you to know is that the biggest companies that actually run the world, I would venture to say right now, is people who own nothing, but they control everything. I want you to think about it. You got Walmart, Spark. They have people that drive their own cars, that they don't own any of the cars, but they're making money. You got Uber, you got Lyft, you got, all of this, right? I want you to think about it. The biggest companies that you know own nothing, but they control everything. And that's what you're doing in a real estate transaction. It's owning nothing but controlling everything. And it's simply a piece of paper that you're controlling, and you're literally getting it from point A to point B to make money. That's it, that's all. So the biggest mistake that I see wholesalers make when it comes down to this industry is they get along the lines of making, not knowing their reason, for one, and then for two, when they do make calls, they actually have no way of knowing where they're going wrong. And it's because of these 4 categories right here. So I want to talk to you about these 4 categories. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is lead generation. Number 2 is going to be lead conversion, fulfillment, ascension, or retention, right? So the 4 categories to the business is lead generation is number 1. Number 2 is lead conversion. Number 3 is fulfillment. And then number 4 is ascension/retention, okay? So when it comes to lead generation, y'all, you must understand that when it comes to marketing, you have to have people to talk to be able to even do a deal or make a sale, right? I want you to think about it this way. If Walmart had no way of marketing or getting in front of you, you would not know who they are, which means that they can't do business and they never make money. So one of the things that I want you to know is everything starts with marketing and lead generation, how you generate leads. Do you want to know the easiest way that you can find people to sell you their property? The very easy way. Zillow has them online where you literally can target for sale by owners for free. And of course, there are paid ways that we'll get into, and we'll dive into a couple of those aspects. But like when it comes down to lead generation, you have cold outreach and you have warm outreach. Or cold outreach, meaning you're reaching outbound outreach, which is cold. And then you have inbound outreach, which is somebody who's reaching out to you, and that's warm or hot, right? So for cold outreach, most people typically do cold calling, they're texting, they're pulling lists, they're doing all of these things. And then for inbound or lead generation, which what people do is you make yourself discoverable by having sellers actually find you, and then they come to you and tell you they want to sell. Now, my preface to this, y'all, I just want to let you know that everything works. Everything in real estate works. There's no best thing to do. It's literally just you working the one thing that you absolutely want to do. The biggest mistake that I see people make when it comes down to real estate is they try to do everything at once, and they want to be the jack of all trades but a master at none. And I just want to let you know that if you have done that, and if you are trying to do it and you're confused and you're in a state of analysis paralysis, the reason why is because you're just confused. You have too many lanes to enter, and you literally can't fill up one cup. So now you're just stuck with the same amount in each cup, and you can never fill one cup, okay? So I guess what I'm saying to you here today, y'all, is that you should just focus on one thing. Most people come to me and they're like, man, what is going wrong in my business? And I am actually running you through the system that actually makes me, over $1 million in this business every single year, y'all. So I just want to tell you this. Lead generation is actually the strongest way to build a sustainable business, because if you have no leads, you can't make offers or get deals. Okay, so I'll say this. I said it before. Everything works. You have outbound or you have inbound. People reaching out to you or you going to them and reaching out to them. Okay. Now, when it comes down to outbound, y'all, I guess just as an example, they have free ways, which like Zillow, PropWire, and different things like that, where you can pull a list. Here's the principle that I want you to understand, that I want you to take away. If you are doing outbound, you cannot just talk to 5, 6 people in a month and then think that you're going to sign a whole lot of contracts. You have to talk about this business because it is a numbers game. There's something called the law of averages, and the law of averages is just basically saying, hey, there's a certain amount of people and a certain amount of numbers that you have to talk to be able to get somebody to say yes, right? So, and we'll talk about this like a little bit later and go dive a little bit deeper. But I want you to understand that no matter what, if you do get a no, there's a number that says, hey, it takes me this X amount of people to talk to actually get somebody to say yes. And that's the law of averages. So I am not attached to somebody saying no to me. I actually love when people say no, because at the end of the day, I know I am actually getting closer to a yes, because somebody is actually going to say yes. That's the law of averages. So keep that in mind, y'all, when you are doing this business. Even if you do get a no, whether that be somebody that say, no, I don't want to sell, or no, to your offer, just know that it just takes a certain amount of people to get to where you want to be. And I just, like, as Myron Golden said, hey, tell me yes or tell me no, tell me now, I gotta go. I am not begging for somebody to say yes, because like one of the things that you do is you put yourself at a disadvantage trying to get everybody to say yes, when the law of averages tells you that, hey, it takes you 10 people to actually get somebody to say yes. Okay. So just want to let you know that cold outreach, warm outreach, inbound, outbound, right? Cold calling is something that you absolutely can do, and here's the principle. If you are pulling lists from things like PropWire or PropStream or something like that, one of the things I want to tell you is that you should be pulling a minimum of about 5,000 to 10,000 records every single month to talk to. Now, are you probably going to reach 10,000 people and talk to that many people every month? No, but it's a numbers game when you're talking about cold calling and cold outreach. So it's all about the numbers. So if you've been wondering, man, where am I going wrong in my business? Hey, just ask yourself this question. How many leads am I generating every single month? And if it's 10, 5, 20, whatever the case may be, then maybe it's just a case of you needing to do more and generate more. Now, there is a way where you can actually trade money to get in front of people. And one of the things that I do is I pick up my phone and I make a video, and I essentially get sellers to notice who I am. And they come to me and say, hey, I want to sell my property to you, right? And that's what we call inbound lead generation. So essentially what we do is, just like you're watching this video, there's a video that I make for sellers, and they see it and they're like, oh, well, I do want to sell my property, right? And there's a way that you can actually do that. And I just want to let you know, y'all, there's so many ways to lead generation. You just have to stick to one thing and one thing only. So the principle for lead generation is, it's a numbers game. You must talk to more people. And on top of that, the last thing I want to leave you with is quality, quality, quality. There's a person in my DMs and they asked me, hey, would you actually prefer to have a lot of quality leads or in less leads, or would you prefer to have quantity instead of quality? And my answer is always quality, because at the end of the day, when you get quality, we know that you don't have to take as many people to talk to actually get a conversion, right? Meaning a result or make money. So if you focus on getting quality leads, y'all, and not cheaping out on your data, and it does not cost a lot of money to actually do this business, but if you do it right and you don't cheap out on your data and you get the right leads, I'm telling you, y'all, this business will be way easier and much simple for you. But understand, it's a numbers game. Law of averages is something that you must follow. All right, so that's lead generation. Now, lead conversion. When you generate a lead, right, and you start having people discover who you are and you start coming across people who want to sell, now it's about converting this lead into somebody who wants to sell to you and essentially getting them to agree to an offer, right? So this is a sales aspect. Most people are probably going to ask, man, what does it look like to talk to these people? I just want to let you know, no license is needed. And I probably should have said this earlier, but no license is needed for this, y'all. And you don't have to have a license. You don't have to have any of that. You really don't even have to have, $10, $20, $30,000 to do this at all, y'all. But let me just tell you this. When it comes down to lead conversion, AKA sales, most people make the mistake of just following a script and trying to be a robot instead of actually being themselves. You would probably think, man, I need to know everything about real estate and everything about a house to actually sell a property. And I just want to let you know you don't, okay? Everybody knows the questions to ask when it comes down to a house. We know from the bottom we have foundation, to the top we have a roof. We know that inside of there's air, an AC system, have a hot water heater. We have bedrooms and bathrooms. That's all basic stuff that you really that's only 10% of the conversation. I want to actually give you something that's going to help you when it comes down to talking to people, because this business is not just about sales and the house. It's really not even about the house. The business is actually about the person, okay? If you put yourself in a position to get somebody who wants to sell to you, and Cedric, why would they want to sell to me? Because they have a problem that they need to solve, and you're going to be the person who helps them out with their problem. So if they have, they're behind on their mortgage and they want to sell the house, if they going through a divorce and they want to sell, whatever the case may be, you're there to help them move away from pain or towards pleasure. All right. So when it comes down to lead conversion, y'all, the biggest thing when it comes down to this, y'all, is actually not being a robot, okay? The house matters, but it doesn't matter as much as you think it does, okay? The biggest thing about somebody who wants to actually sell to you is building something called know, like, and trust. If somebody doesn't know, like, or trust you, they have no reason to do business with you. And on your phone calls with sellers, and you're talking to them about how much they want, when do they want to sell, what their property looks like. I want you to understand this. There's a framework that I want to give you called the conversion trinity. And I want you to think of it like this. Number one, we cannot get somebody to do business with us without knowing their reason. Remember when I told you earlier that you need to know the reason why you do this, and reasons actually come before results? The reason why I told you that is because at the end of the day, once you know your reason, you can now focus on the seller who has their reason of selling. Because think about it this way. Nobody just absolutely wakes up and says, man, I want to sell my most prized possession, because the average person only owns about 1 to about 3 homes in their whole lifetime. So nobody just wakes up and says, man, I just want to sell my most prized possession without having a reason. So when you focus on a conversation, y'all, I would venture to say that other than them wanting to sell and them being interested in selling, the most important part, I believe, to be in the conversation is you knowing their reason, okay? The reason comes before the result. Don't focus on the result and the money that you could potentially make from this sale. Focus on the reason and the person. Are you someone who actually maybe has talked to people and you feel like you're pretty good at serving people, if you said yes to that, 9 times out of 10, you can do this business. Are you someone who has a 9 to 5 and maybe you do customer service, or maybe you've came across people in a random store, you've just been able to talk to them, and you're probably someone who someone comes to because they have a problem. I just want to let you know that use that to your advantage. The reason why that's an advantage to you, because not only are you someone who can talk to people and nurture people and care for people, but the reason that you care is the reason why the person is actually going to do business with you, okay? So I want you to understand this. The house does not matter. I'll just say it that way. The house matters nothing if you can't connect with a person and understand their reason. So number one is their reason. Why do they want to sell? The reason why you want to know their why is not only because of negotiations, but at the same time, you do want to understand this is number one to like building the connection with this person. And then on top of that, this is going to show you how you can help them out of their situation, okay? The next thing that I would venture to say when it comes down to talking to someone is them actually liking you. If somebody doesn't like you, y'all, I can say you probably cooked, right? One of my students actually got into a conversation with a seller, and the guy was like, man, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't like this or whatever, right? And I actually remember my guy, Tori, who's a student of mine, he actually said, man, you sound young. And instantly, like, she was like, well, what do you mean by that? And she just like hung up. And that instantly started like a downside of her not liking him. Now, Tori is actually doing way better now, but I want to tell you this. Don't give someone a reason not to like you. Give them every reason to like you. And I'm not telling you to put on a mask and be somebody else. I'm actually telling you that the advantage that you have because you care about people, you are naturally going to be someone that they like. Think about it this way as well. You can actually relate to people because of life, because of either what you have seen or what you have been through. There are so many people who deal with life, y'all, and they deal like, they're not the only person that's ever missed a payment, and been behind on the payment. They're not someone who's ever had a property that they have to sell because they're going through a divorce, or, they have a tenant that's not being, respectful and they're not paying the rent on time, or whatever the case may be. One of the things that I like to do to actually become more relatable and likable is actually tell stories that relate to what they're going through. So if this seller is actually dealing with something related to a divorce, and I know what it's like to be through a divorce, or I've seen it before, well, I can use that story to relate to this seller and just let them know that, like, I understand them, and I've been there before, I've seen it before, and like, I'm here to help. That matters more to someone than, hey, I can buy your house in 30 days and we can pay your closing costs and do this. Like, that matters nothing if they don't know you, like you, and trust you. The last thing to the conversion trinity, y'all, is trust. One of the ways that you build trust, other than like them knowing you and liking you, y'all, is you not only being relatable, but you being the person that lets them know that you can lead them throughout this conversation. You probably ask me, man, do I need a website or something like that? No. What if I told you that the first 50 deals that I did not have a website, y'all? And literally, I am me, right? You can actually build know, like, and trust without actually having a website. Who knew that? That's just called being a good person and doing what you said you were going to do, okay? So that's lead conversion, y'all. Having the conversation, being relatable, telling stories, and the more that you do this, y'all, all of the other stuff will come together. Now, we know, you ask about the house still, you asked about the roof, you asked about the AC system, the plumbing, electrical, hot water heater, foundation, all of that. But at the end of the day, that you cannot get to that if you can't do these first things that you do, okay? So at this point, we're at fulfillment, because at conversion, y'all, If the numbers make sense, which the numbers are not always going to make sense because some people are unreasonable and you have to, talk to them a little bit and talk them down. But at the end of the day, like I said, you're not trying to get everybody because it's about the law of averages, right? We know that everybody is not going to be a sale, but that doesn't mean that we don't try, right? So at this point, you have gotten the contract and this person has agreed to sell to you. And now it's about fulfilling on the thing that we said that we could do. This is about going to go find a buyer now, right? Now, one of the things that you can do to find buyers, y'all, is just, go to affordablehousing.com. All of those buyers on there actually, all of those people on there actually list their properties on there for rent. And those are people who buy properties, okay? So that's like a good tip for you. Now, one of the best things about buyers, y'all, is that buyers are super, super cool. You just have to understand them, all right? Now, fulfillment, on the fulfillment side, we're talking about now you got the contract and you're selling the deal to a buyer. One of the key things about fulfillment, y'all, is that you must transfer that connection over to a buyer as well and build a relationship with them. So when it comes to a buyer, knowing what they buy is so very important and where they buy is so very important. Because when you're looking at this person and you just call them and say, hey, do you want to buy this property? Well, you don't know anything about what they want to buy, why they're buying, how long they've been buying, what areas they like, what they don't like, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes down to fulfilling on this deal, y'all, when you talk to a buyer, principle number one is literally ask them what they do as far as fixing and flipping or buy and hold, and then knowing what they like. Ask them, hey, what do you like in a property? What do you buy? Tell me what we call like a buy box, y'all. What is your buy box? What is the box that you buy in, right? That's it. And then from there, you can go and pitch your deal to them, y'all, and sell the deal. Now, here's the principle I want to give you when it comes down to fulfillment, y'all, is the customer journey matters. If you are not touching base with your customer who you've locked the deal up with at least once or twice a week, even if you don't have an update, y'all, I think this is the reason most deals actually fall apart, because most people, they'll lock up the contract and then from there, the seller hears nothing from them, but we have to talk about like customer service or customer journey. It's like, hey, how comfortable did they feel throughout the journey, even after they signed the agreement? And if you are leaving somebody in ghosting them, y'all, instead of actually signing the agreement, I'm telling you, they will talk to somebody else and go with somebody else because you did not keep your communication skills up, right? But that's like something you should remember. Now, back to fulfillment. When it comes to fulfillment, y'all, understanding what your buyer buys, where they buy at, and understanding if your property is a good fit for them is going to be the start of this. When it comes down to you fulfilling on this and doing this, I want you to know this. When it comes to your buyer, you always schedule a walkthrough. The easiest way to do a deal is schedule a walkthrough with this person and follow up with them as if you were a realtor or something, and literally say, hey man, how did you like the property? Would you like to make an offer? And just keep it so simple and just have a conversation with this individual, okay? So fulfillment is not as hard as most people think, because, and it's gonna be very short to talk about, because at the end of the day, if you have a good deal that's priced right and that's good, y'all, the deal will sell itself, right? It will sell itself, because at the end of the day, there's not much that needs to literally be said about it. Your buyer is interested in a property, they walk through the property, and then from there, like, they make an offer. Either it meets where you want your offer to be and you accept it, or it doesn't, and you go look for another offer and you accept a couple of offers from there, right? So that's fulfillment. And I would just urge you to just keep it so simple when talking to buyers, y'all. Hey, I noticed you had a property over here on this street, and I just wanted to actually reach out to you guys. I have a property that's coming up that's for sale, and just wanted to see if it was a good fit for you. Hey, by the way, what do you buy? What are you interested in? What do you like, right? And then they'll start talking, and you start the conversation that way, and just be you. I want to give you a permission that you can give permission to yourself that like you can actually be you. You don't have to be, somebody else. There is like no perfect way to talk to people. It's just being genuine and being you. If people know that you're genuine and that you actually care, y'all, people do business with people. And I want to tell you, just because you care is the reason that people are going to do business with you, okay? So that's fulfillment and some principles with that. And then ascension or retention. When it comes down to ascension or retention, y'all, something that actually comes to mind when it comes down to ascension or retention is most wholesalers don't know how to retain money coming in month over month over month, or they don't know how to just make more and more money, right? Which either you're going to be stuck at the same amount of money or you're going to drop down, or what you're going to do is you're going to make money and don't know how to go up, right? So that's an issue that I want to actually solve from you right now. The question you might probably be asking, how do I retain the same amount of money every month or actually go up and make more money? Predictability. The more predictable that you become, the better that your business will be. The more you track your numbers, the better that your business will be. I want you to understand this. Most people that do real estate or get into business, they don't actually care about the numbers other than the money or the revenue. But if you actually care about the numbers and you care about what actually works in the business and what the numbers are, then this is going to give you a trajectory of a line that you can look down, and every month you will notice a thing that actually keeps you repeatable and scalable, right? So what do I mean by numbers? Like predictability. Start tracking your numbers. How many leads do you like? And this is just a couple of questions that you need to know so you can know how to track. How many leads are you getting every single month? How many leads does it take you to get a contract? All that is knowing how many contracts you got that month versus how many leads you got. How much did you spend for those leads? How much did you spend that month versus how many leads did you get? Right? Knowing those things right there, along with what we call a lead to contract ratio. How many leads does it take to get a contract? Y'all, that's so very important. Most people don't track these things because not only are they afraid, they're like, man, it just seems too this or too that. It's like, no. How are you going to become somebody that's predictable or something that's predictable if you have no data to look back at? So the most important things that I want to give you and just keep it very practical and simple is track how many leads you're getting, how many offers you're making, how many contracts you get per month, how much you spend, and then how many leads to a contract that you get. So leads to a contract, offers, and of course how much you spend. Track that every single month, y'all, every single time you spend money. I promise you will become more predictable, because when you come to somebody like me and you ask me, hey, why isn't my business doing what it's supposed to do? And I ask you how many leads you get and you say, well, I don't know. Well, that's the reason why, is because you don't track your numbers. And somebody that flies blind is somebody who can't see and they don't know where to look, okay? So that is how you essentially retain your business and actually make it predictable, because you track the numbers and because you actually remain consistent in the business. Now, if you would like to make sure that you are doing this correctly, you want to know how to make more money, you want to know how to make this a predictable business model and make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, y'all, you can click the link in my description and you'll see my calendar link where you can book a call with me. And I'll personally get on a call with you to talk to you about these things so you can understand how to make this a profitable business. But I hope this video helped you. And if you got value from this video, like, comment your favorite part. And likewise, y'all, I'll see you next week.